What's going on, everybody? Today I'm working on my 2007 Toyota Tundra. This one is a 5.7. It's a huge one, the Crewmax. The alternator went bad on this, so we're going to be changing the alternator. Before you decide that you're going to change your alternator, you got to make sure that that's actually your problem. On mine, it ended up killing the battery. More than likely that's what's going to happen to most of you guys. Either it's going to die while you're driving, or you park it somewhere and you try and turn it on again and it's not going to turn on. So let's say you put another battery in and you check the voltage, or you jump it and you check the voltage. The voltage is going to be whatever is in the battery. If it's not above 13 or above like somewhere around 13.5, then more than likely alternator is not charging. But in that situation, then you got to make sure to check fuses and fusible links first before changing the alternator. All my fuses are good. I checked the battery voltage. I put another battery in, and the battery voltage while idling, while idling, it's just at battery voltage. So I already know that my alternator is no good. So now we're gonna go to swapping this out. And it looks pretty complicated when I look at it from up here. It's way down there. You can barely see the pulley. But you need to come at it from the wheel well. And then from right here, you can see it's right there. The power steering pump's in the way. I looked it up on Mitchell on Demand, and it said it was like 3.5 hours. So mine, I think, supposed to get this piece out. It said that there was another wheel well cover, but I think mine's missing it. It's either that or this is what it was talking about. But the first thing I'm gonna do is jack up the truck and take this wheel off, just so I have space to work. All right, so now you can see, lift it up, wheel off. You can see a lot better in here, a lot more space. You're gonna need to take the belt off, and you should just be able to get it from up here somewhere. One thing before we do anything else, you should have disconnected your battery. I took my battery off because I ended up having to swap a battery from a different car, from that car into this truck, just so that I could get it home from where it left me stranded. So yeah, disconnect your battery before you start doing anything, or at least before you start messing with taking the alternator off and any of the wiring down there. So not from the top, it's gonna be from the bottom. Take that splash shield off, or whatever you would call that. It's a metal like skid plate, and your tensioner, you should be able to get it from underneath. It should be, it's that one right there, that bolt. It looks like a 14. If you got the tool, the belt tensioner tool, cool, use it. If not, you can just use a ratchet and a shallow socket. Now, I got the belt off. I just took it off the power steering pump and the alternator, because we're gonna need to remove the power steering pump to get access, I think, to one of the alternator bolts. So yeah, just get that off. Come behind it, you can see now the wiring on the alternator. So you got that right there. Is the electrical connector. And this one right here is the one that would go to your battery. Get that off so you can see. There you go. That's I think it's like a 12 or a 13 that goes to the battery. So if you wanted to, you could take those off now and get that out of the way before you get to the other stuff. I said it was a 12. I was way off. It's a 10. Usually these are quite a bit bigger, but this one is a 10. Alright, here you can see the connector. You press in. Right there. It says push. Literally just push that one. Press hard. Wiggle it a little bit as you're pulling out and it should come out. And now, here we can see there's the power steering pump, and there's going to be, I think, 2 bolts on the top of the alternator that the power steering pump is getting in the way of. The 2 bottom ones, you can see from underneath, and those shouldn't be too big of a deal. There's, I think there's 2 transmission cooler lines that are down there that you need to unbolt from the alternator. It's like it's just a little bracket that holds them in place. I think there's 2 bolts down there. Then there's a 2 bolts for the alternator down there, and then there should be 2 for the power steering pump. But once I get there, I'll show you guys. You can see I already loosened one of them, and then the other one is right on the back. You might not have to take that one off. I'm gonna try and just loosen this one, and if it gets in the way, then I'll have to loosen that back one. But I'm just gonna loosen that one and see how it goes. I ended up having to drop the sway bar down. I couldn't get my ratchet in anywhere. I mean, I can get it in through down here, but I couldn't get enough leverage to break the bolts loose, and the sway bar kept getting in my way. So drop the sway bar down. 4 bolts, easy enough. Got those 2 these 2 long bolts out. Also needed to take that little bracket that I was talking about that goes for the transmission cooler lines. Took both of those bolts out. They were getting in the way too, so make sure to take those out. Now we can get to the power steering pump. There should be 3 bolts, and then that should come out, and we should be able to get to the other 2 top alternator bolts. You can see 2 of the bolts. There's 3 bolts, I believe. So now, since we have the belt off, you can move the pulley around however you need it, and you're gonna need probably a deep socket to go in through the holes on the pulley to get to those bolts. Once you get to those bolts, loosen them. You should be able to move the power steering pump out of the way, and then we can get to those top 2 bolts. I think that these bolts are usually like 13s or 12s, but so far most of these have been 14s. This one's a 14. You can see how I got that deep socket, my ratchet in, and this, you just get each one of those out, and then you should be able to wiggle the power steering pump out. Sometimes it won't just wiggle out, and you'll have to get like a pry bar in there to pry it out, or a big screwdriver, but it should come out this way. All right, so now that we got the power steering pump out of the way, you can now see the two last bolts. Well, 1 bolt, 1 nut. Those are the last 2 that we got to take off, and the alternator to come out. So there's the alternator out now. I was gonna try and show how I was squeezing it out from the bottom, but right before I got it all the way out, I was trying to get my phone out, and it fell out before I could hit record. So anyways, it fell out, it's out, but I squeezed it out through here. The radiator hose kind of gets in the way, but I mean, it's flexible enough that you could, well, at least mine is. I don't know how yours might be, but mine was flexible enough to where I can move it around and not be worried that it's gonna rip. But I thought maybe it could come out through up here, through the area that I was working at, but it seems a little tight. I don't think it'll fit through there. I think the only real way is down here, but me trying to avoid dumping the coolant, I did it this way. Worked out fine. Didn't even have to pull it out all the way completely. I decided it just wanted to hop out on its own. So now that we got this thing out, I can figure out what size it is, because I guess there's 3 different sizes: 100 amp, 130 amp, and 150 amp, depending on if your truck has a tow package and I think rear like DVD or something like that. Mine does have tow package, but I don't think it ever came with any sort of DVD stuff, so we'll see. I'll figure out which one it is, go get it, and then everything else is just gonna be reverse order, just trying to squeeze it back in and struggle with the power steering pump, and then get back to get it running. All right, so here now I got everything put back together. Now I can turn it on and show you guys that it should be charging at like 13.5 to like 14 volts. I picked up this cheap voltmeter from Harbor Freight. It was only like, maybe it was like $7, $8, I can't remember, but it was cheap. It was like less than $10. I can't find my other one, but this will work perfectly fine. You just make sure that you have it on DC volts. I believe that's correct. Now we can check what the battery voltage is right now. It should be at least 12. So we got 12.79. Now I'll just go turn on the truck and we'll see what it's at. Alright, so there we have it, 13.6. So that's where it should be charging. The other thing is that when you turn on the truck, it's going to turn, more than likely, I've seen this with all Toyotas, when you turn them on, the first crank, after you've disconnected the battery, the first crank that you do, it's going to turn on, and then it's going to turn back off right away. Don't get worried, turn it off, turn the key back off all the way, turn it back on, and then it should stay running. More than likely you'll have to turn your air conditioning on or hold the RPMs up a little bit to bring the idle back up, because it has to do like an idle relearn after you've disconnected the battery. The idle is going to look low for a little bit, but it'll fix itself. I'm pretty sure there's a procedure for it, but I always would just turn the AC on or hold the RPMs up a little bit, and that always worked for me. So that's that. This alternator replacement was a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. It is a little more involved than I thought it was going to be. So power steering pump is the one thing that I had the most problems with. So that's going to be it for this one. I'm hoping that this helps somebody out, because this was pretty tricky for an alternator. I didn't really think it was going to be that hard, but I'm going to be trying to do some more videos with this truck. I want to change these headlights out. Looking pretty ugly. Ever since I got this truck, it's had this core support that got bent, and I think that you can, I'm not sure if you can, if it's just all bolt in or if some of it has to be welded in, but maybe I'm going to try and figure out something with this. There's just a few other things that I want to do with it, but maybe I can do some videos with this truck. Anyways, guys, I hope this video helps out and you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace.